Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, good morning. Welcome to another conference organized by the Institute for Peace and Diplomacy. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. We express our gratitude for the privilege of being here on this land. I'm Bijan Ahmadi, the Executive Director of the Institute for Peace and Diplomacy, IPD. IPD is a nonprofit and nonpartisan international affairs think tank that operates in both Canada and the United States. In Canada, we concentrate on three core objectives: to provide our decision makers with strategic insights, analysis, and policy recommendations grounded in evidence-based research, prudent realism, and a commitment to diplomatic engagement, to facilitate the exchange of knowledge between Canadian and international scholars, policy experts, and practitioners, and to identify, educate, and nurture the next generation of Canadian policy leaders who will help our country strengthen its position and advance its interests on the global stage. The strategic course and policy direction of Canada's relationship with Taiwan are chiefly informed by its Indo-Pacific strategy unveiled in late 2022. The strategy essentially identifies three fundamental objectives for Canada's relations with Taiwan: expanding trade and enhancing supply chain resilience, promoting peace and security, fostering people-to-people connections. Last year in October, IPD organized its first conference on Taiwan, in which we mainly focus on the peace and security aspects of the relationship. We discussed cross-strait tensions, the need for bolstering military deterrence, and Canada's role in promoting peace and security for Taiwan through international diplomacy and cooperation. This year, given Canada's role as the chair of the CPTPP Commission and the recently signed Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Arrangement, which helps protect and promote Canadian investments in Taiwan and Taiwanese investments in Canada, we decided to focus on economic security as the main theme of our conference and our discussions on Taiwan. The conference today aims to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and ideas on key issues with respect to Canada-Taiwan economic ties, exploring Canada's role in the CPTPP and its impact on Taiwan's accession bid, enhancing Canada-Taiwan cooperation in securing critical supply chains, and developing strategies to counter economic coercion. These are crucial topics to explore for strengthening our economic ties with Taipei and building a resilient partnership. I want to thank the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Canada, Representative Hsieh and his great team at TICO for their support for this event. Today's opening keynotes aim to set the stage for our in-depth expert discussions. We're privileged to have Taiwan's Deputy Foreign Minister, Hsieh, with us today in person. Before we hear from the Deputy Foreign Minister, I would like to invite one of our parliamentarians who's with us today to say a few words. He's someone who has been very active on Canada-Taiwan relations for years now in the House of Commons. From Taiwanese friends and colleagues, I regularly hear his name as a Canadian friend of Taiwan, and that is none other than the Member of Parliament for Scarborough, Guildwood, Chair of the Standing Committee on National Defence, and current member and former chair of the Canada-Taiwan Parliamentary Friendship Group, Honourable John McKay. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ottawa. Kind of a gloomy day, as you can see. Usually this room has got a great view, but for those of you who get bored by the speeches, there's still a decent view out that way. As you know, there's absolutely nothing going on in Ottawa today, and nothing that would exercise the Liberal caucus one way or another. Just a normal, calm day that we are dealing with issues that we can't influence whatsoever. It's a great day to be in Ottawa. It's my happy task this morning to welcome an old friend, Representative. Well, first of all, I want to thank Representative Hsieh for this invitation. But Harry and I did some very enjoyable travel in Taiwan last spring. There's nothing like being there, folks. There's just nothing like being there. And I want to, on behalf of my colleagues in the delegation, I want to reiterate my thanks. But my happy task is to welcome Deputy Foreign Minister Harry Hsieh to Ottawa once again. Harry, geez, it is a little early. I don't know why. And I've done my coffee, so I have no excuse whatsoever other than advanced age. Kelly Hsieh has been in Canada many times, and when I talked to him earlier this morning, it was, well, I've been here and there, et cetera, which is either a testimony of the fact that he's very valued by the government of Taiwan, or he can't keep a job, one or the other. So we appreciate and look forward to your remarks, Kelly. So welcome to the Canada that speaks forcefully on the world stage, defends human rights, and advocates for democracy and the rule of law. Welcome to the Canada that speaks forcefully on those issues, except when it doesn't. And welcome to the Canada that hedges its bets on Taiwan, that yields to the subtle and not so subtle pressure of Beijing. Welcome to the Canada whose strong voice on the international stage is a mere whisper when it comes to Taiwan. Taiwan has become the reluctant center of geopolitical tensions, conflict, and competition, forcing all nations to make unpalatable choices. Taiwan is a thriving democracy. Witness the January elections. With a robust economy and a vibrant society that stands as a beacon of hope for those who yearn for freedom and self-determination. Yet despite its remarkable achievements and unwavering commitment to democratic values, Taiwan finds itself marginalized on the international stage, largely due to the pressure from the People's Republic of China. Canada, as a champion of human rights and democracy, has a duty to stand with Taiwan and support its rightful place in the global community. However, our nation has often failed to take a firm stance on this issue, opting instead for a cautious approach of not offending the government of China. This reluctance to fully embrace Taiwan's aspirations not only undermines our own values, but sends a message that we are willing to compromise on principles for the sake of economic interests. It's high time that Canada reassess its position and take a more vigorous stance in support of Taiwan. By doing so, we not only uphold our own values, but also contribute to a more stable and democratic world order and recognize what is in our own best interests. There are several reasons why Canada should embrace Taiwan more vigorously. First, Taiwan is a vital partner in promoting peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region. With its strategic location and commitment to democracy, Taiwan serves as a bulwark against authoritarian expansionism. By strengthening our ties with Taiwan, Canada can play a constructive role in safeguarding regional security and promoting democratic values. That is in Canada's best interest. Secondly, Taiwan is a thriving economy with a wealth of opportunities for cooperation. By deepening our economic engagement with Taiwan, Canada can unlock new markets, foster innovation, and create jobs for Canadians. Moreover, Taiwan's expertise in technology and innovation can complement Canada's strengths in various sectors, leading to mutually beneficial partnerships. Again, that is in Canada's best interests. Thirdly, supporting Canada is not just a matter of geopolitics or economics, it's also a moral imperative. Taiwan's struggle for international recognition is a fight for the fundamental rights of people to determine their own future free from coercion. As a nation that cherishes freedom and democracy, Canada cannot turn a blind eye to Taiwan's plight. Again, that is in Canada's best interest. It's time for Canada to shed its moral and intellectual lethargy and embrace the aspirations of the people of Taiwan. By standing with the people of Taiwan, we uphold our values, strengthen our partnerships, and contribute to a more just and democratic world. Let us try not to be swayed by our short-term interests, but instead act in accordance with the principles that define us as a nation. Thank you very much, Deputy Foreign Minister Kelly Hsieh. I look forward to what you have to say and contribute to this conversation. Again, thank you, and I hope this is a successful conference. Thank you again.
Thank you, MP McKay, for joining us today and for your remarks. Please note that after Deputy Foreign Minister Kelly Hsieh's speech, we'll have around 15 minutes for your questions. So he'll take some of your questions as well. So as we're not going to have a lot of time. So please think about your questions as you're listening to his speech as well. And once his speech is over, you can line up at that microphone that we have on the floor to ask your questions. I'll join him on this stage and this table here so that we can take your questions and answer them. Please join me in welcoming Deputy Foreign Minister Kelly Hsieh to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning. I agree this is a gloomy day, but I insist that this is Canada. Actually, thank you, Bijan Ahmadi, for inviting me or giving me this opportunity to meet with such a tremendously great group here in Ottawa to talk about things that we are all concerned. We are concerned together. And I want also thank the Honourable John McKay, MP, and my old friend who have given us his speech on Taiwan and what it means to the interests of this great country, Canada, and what kind of standard cooperation that both countries can work together down the road. But I have to admit first, before we go into this serious topic of economic security and what it means to Taiwan and Canada together. I always tell my colleagues that Canada, I have a soft spot in my heart for Canada. I started my career way before, when I was very, very young, in the Foreign Service on our relations, Taiwan's relations with Canada. And then I was Director General, our chief of our mission in Toronto for a while, for nearly 3 years. That was time when I had the privilege of meeting with John there, and I visited his district office and have a taste of how hardship or hardworking he has been with regard to the constituents. And then, of course, we have been following, or we have seen the great achievements or progress we've made in terms of bilateral relations. I remember in the 90s and in the early 2000s, the topics about Taiwan's relations or cooperative relations with Canada would be on subjects such as Bombardier, regional jets, or Taipei metro constructions, or the lumber that we should buy from Canada, and even topics such as hog farming cooperation was brought up, LNG and other natural resources, things like that. And Hugh Stevens is here. He was one of the pioneers there to forge all these discussions and cooperations. So a lot of things happened in those years. And over the years, we have seen great progress, structural progress was made, especially in terms of tax. Now the avoidance of double taxation arrangement, following early on the avoidance of double taxation on shipping and air traffic. So these are just examples of how Taiwan and Canada have been working on to get together as partners. And I think, looking back, this is truly a typical case when two liberal economies engage with each other to find best policies and produce best implementation results possible according to WTO and other relevant international norms. So getting back to now, based on this progress, in recent years we have seen Taiwan and Canada have forged an even stronger and more resilient partnership, marked by fruitful collaborations across various sectors in areas of technology, education, renewable energy, and good democratic governance, indigenous affairs also, and the last but not least, trade and economic cooperation. And the Taiwan and Canada economic trade consultations, this is a mechanism that has been there between the two governments, which have been ongoing for 30 years, serve as an important platform for communication and cooperation between the two sides. And just last December, both parties committed to promote transparent, secure, sustainable, resilient, and diverse supply chains. The two sides also committed to focus on areas such as clean fuels and renewable energy, green transportation, advanced manufacturing, R&D, talent development, and innovation, all to promote operation on achieving net zero carbon emission by 2050. And just 2 weeks after that, Taiwan and Canada signed a landmark bilateral investment deal, the Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Arrangement. This is famous so-called FIPA. Now, FIPA underscores our shared commitment to deepening economic ties and fostering a secure and sustainable trading environment. However, as we celebrate our successes, we cannot ignore the daunting challenges that confront us in the realm of global trade. The COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and other geopolitical crises have wreaked havoc on the global supply chain, disrupting the flow of goods and undermining the stability of the international trading system. Moreover, we have witnessed the insidious use of economic coercion by certain state actors to advance their non-economic interests, a tactic to which both Taiwan and Canada have unfortunately fallen victim. For instance, in recent years, China has implemented numerous economic measures against Taiwan, such as prohibiting individual tourists from visiting the island and imposing import bans, as well as revoking tariff preferences on Taiwan's agricultural products. These actions are perceived as attempts to exert political pressure on Taiwan, even interfering in our presidential and other elections. Similarly, Canada experienced the unlawful detention of 2 citizens following the Meng Wanzhou incident in 2018. Additionally, countries like Australia, the Czech Republic, Lithuania, and many others, have faced various vicious and retaliatory actions by China, targeting their products for non-economic reasons. And I believe His Excellency Ambassador Skučevičius of Lithuania, who is also here today, share the same disgust with me. In confronting these challenges, I have to say, there is no simple solution. However, Taiwan and Canada can leverage our shared values and mutual interests to address them effectively. What I mean is, by deepening our cooperation on trade, investment, and security, we can enhance our resilience to external pressures and mitigate the risks posed by economic coercion. Taiwan's expertise in semiconductor industry is recognized as remarkable and serves as a compelling example. On the other hand, Canada's strategic endeavors, notably the North American Semiconductor Corridor, resonate closely with Taiwan's strengths and interests. For example, TSMC has established a state-of-the-art research center in Canada, where its R&D team consistently advances its capabilities. Foxconn, another Taiwanese firm, has engaged in R&D collaboration with the University of Waterloo, particularly in the realm of electric vehicles. Foxconn is also planning to launch a Canadian software research development center in Canada. Now, these examples tell us that the potential for such synergistic partnership is vast, offering mutual benefits and propelling both countries towards shared prosperity. I'm sure that Ambassador Harry Zhang has been here long enough to provide many more potential opportunities in this regard, and some are sure to be to his credit. Now, nowadays, it's common to hear people say that Taiwan plays a vital role in the economic security of the Asia-Pacific region and global supply chains. And I say they're right. Taiwan's high-tech industry boasts the world's most complete and advanced semiconductor cluster, as well as other fields such as AI computing, cutting-edge ICT and electric devices, and electric vehicles. Moreover, Taiwan sits at the crossroads of crucial shipping lanes, with nearly half of the world's container ships passing through the Taiwan Strait every year. The potential consequences of a major conflict in this region are staggering. Thousands of casualties, disruption to almost 40% of the world's manufacturing output, and the jeopardization of over $2 trillion in global economic activity, which would precipitate a widespread economic depression on a global scale. Now, this is just one of many ways to realize why and how Taiwan matters to the global economy and order. And I'm glad to see that it is very much incorporated in Canada's Indo-Pacific strategy, which also, of course, the strategy also prioritizes strengthening relations with Taiwan. Consequently, Taiwan's stability and prosperity have broad implications for peace far beyond its borders. This sentiment has been regularly echoed by leaders from around the world, particularly those at the G7, NATO, and EU. So I say, safeguarding the security and prosperity of Taiwan is safeguarding the global security and prosperity. To further ensure global economic security, collective trade platforms also play vital roles. And among these platforms, the Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, the CPTPP, stands out as one of the most important. CPTPP aims to set a high standard for comprehensive market access through the elimination of tariffs and other barriers to goods and services. As we navigate through the challenges of a rapidly changing global landscape characterized by uncertainties and disruptions, The CPTPP serves as a beacon of economic security, stability, security, and resilience for fellow liberal economies. Taiwan's accession to the CPTPP would not only bolster its own economy, but also benefit the entire partnership as a whole. Taiwan is the 5th largest economy when compared with the current 11 CPTPP members. It is the 7th most competitive economy worldwide, according to IMD World Competitive Yearbook 2022. Its strength in high-tech industries can help CPTPP members diversify and strengthen their supply chains among themselves, making them more resilient to disruptions and uncertainties in the global market, while further enhancing CPTPP to become an even more open, comprehensive, and dynamic trade platform. And Taiwan has prepared herself to meet the high standards of the CPTPP by strenuously upgrading and streamlining its laws, regulations, and practices, and ensuring a long track record of conforming to international trade norms as well. But now the CPTPP is at a crossroads. It's the issue of membership expansion, with 6 countries' economies applying for membership, including Taiwan. The challenge is whether the expansion process is bold enough to be inclusive, is sensible enough to maintain the high standards, is exemplary enough to level up prosperity in the region, and is prudent enough to ensure economic security among member economies and of CPTPP as a whole. In its inception, CPTPP did not need to encounter the recently emerging thoughts such as de-risking. Now it should, especially when it comes to membership expansion. So, ladies and gentlemen, Canada assumes chair of CPTPP this year. Member economies and aspiring applicants are looking up to Canada's leadership in helping shape an accession path that can usher in qualified, effective, and desirable new members who will cooperate, not coerce others. In conclusion, I'm sure everyone agrees that economic security may never come without a price. But let us remember, the bedrock of our people's economic security lies in the principles of free economy and liberal democracy. This is what will continue to bond Taiwan and Canada together. And Canada can always count on Taiwan as a reliable and desirable economic partner and beyond. Thank you.
On the CPTPP, you talked about it in terms of its importance and the importance of the accession bid that Taiwan has submitted to join CPTPP. Deputy Foreign Minister, please tell us a little bit more on how Taiwan being in the CPTPP can help it in terms of economic security.
Thank you. I think it's pretty simple. As I said early on, Taiwan is a democracy and free economy. Basically, we try very hard to follow all the international trade norms. So this is the basic spirit that we want to maintain. And we also know that given the challenges currently emerging in the world, certain supply chains are very important, and we know there are areas such as semiconductor, which will be the next generation driving force for economic development, and Taiwan is good at that. We want to be a positive player in all this, and CPTPP certainly is a framework or a group of liberal democracies that can support themselves without being jeopardized by unlawful economic coercion from the outside. And Taiwan certainly can play a part there. We want to be part of this liberal democracies collaboration framework. This is good for all the member states of the current CPTPP members. Besides, the Taiwan's contribution in the CPTPP framework would benefit not only the CPTPP itself, but beyond. Yeah, a free trade upholder, and we do have our industry to support that. Economic security will be guaranteed.
Some experts say, and once again, I invite anyone who may have a question to go to the microphone. Okay. So we don't have much time, so I'll allow our attendees to ask
Thank you very much for your clear presentation. I'm aware that there's a kind of a schedule in which countries who want to join the CPTPP have to succeed in making the demand. So I know that the negotiations with the UK are now finished or almost completed. What are the other countries that have applied for admission in the CPTPP, and when is going to be Taiwan's turn?
Do you mind, sorry, introducing yourself?
Yeah, I'm André Laliberté. I'm teaching at the University of Ottawa in the School of Political Studies. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Actually, as far as we know, there are, including Taiwan, there are 6 countries. I think I need some support there. Taiwan, China, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Uruguay, and Ukraine, right? So yeah, 6 of them. And in terms of schedule, I think this is what really important, because over the past 2 years, all the member states have been discussing how to shape this path for the accession of new applicants. And certainly, in our view, as I said, Taiwan should be on top of the desirable new members, because it meets nearly all the criteria. It's been regulating or changing, modifying its laws and regulation practice and all the environment to follow the free trade conditions. And also, it has a long, really recognizable, good track record of abiding by all the international trading norms. So we have been working closely, trying very hard to engage with the individual member states of the current CPTPP to encourage the consensus to support forming a working group to deal with Taiwan's application. So my answer is that as soon as possible, the sooner the better for Taiwan.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Robert Haig. I'm with the Canadian Global Affairs Institute. Excuse me. I'm interested with Mr. McKay here what the Canadian position might be. I don't know whether you want to relate that, but do we support Taiwanese membership? Also, is it possible to have China and Taiwan as members? And if it's possible to have Taiwan without China, is that a possibility? Thank you.
Thank you. With regard to Canada's position, I think we are working. We certainly would like to see that Canada is very forthcoming in its position on the Taiwan's application, and we will talk to them, and we hope that they will talk to us. And I think it's important for Canada this year, being the chair, to really set the example of guiding all the members in terms of processing all the applications of the new members. With regard to China, of course, they are one of these current 6 new applicants. But our position is that based on the principle that formed the CPTPP, and that is the merit-based high standards. And this is the core value and core value of this trade pact. And I think based on anyone who who is consistent with all the requirements. Certainly, I think the CPTP has an obligation and has to process this. So I think China and Taiwan, they are independent. The applications independent of each other. For Taiwan, we know that we are preparing ourselves, and we have prepared ourselves to meet with all the high standards of the CPTPP, and we intend to continue to keep this track record of abiding by and following all the international trade norms. And China, I think it's common sense that if we are talking about these high standards, they are pretty much on another planet. Yeah, better independently treated, and that's to the best interest, I think, for CPTPP. After all, if the high standards of the CPTPP cannot be or may be compromised in any way down the road when dealing with any application, it would not be good for the CPTPP's future. I think the current members, especially the new incoming members such as the UK, will find it hard to accept. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ron McIntosh. And,
Hi, Ron.
Hi, it's good to see you again, Kelly. A while ago, one of my previous roles was as head of the Canadian office in Taipei in 2006 to 2009.
Yes.
I was intrigued by your approach. I very much agree with the idea that the most compelling argument we can make is that this is in Canada's own interests. And we need to shed some of our inhibitions. Long ago, when I was little, one of my first jobs was as a very junior member of the China desk in the foreign ministry here. And part of our training in those days, if not still, is figuring out ways to do as much as you can with Taiwan, but somehow not offend China. And we go too far on the latter, unfortunately. And one of the reasons for the inhibitions is how is this going to be received? And we're not only in China, but perhaps elsewhere. But what I'd like is your assessment of what kind of cover Taiwan will have in promoting this accession. How much support can you expect in the region? Or will some of those regional members also tend to shrink back and not get out front while Taiwan proceeds with its application? Thank you.
Well, if I can find the real answer to that, I believe I can run the president of Taiwan very soon. But those are very important questions, and I think those are questions hanging on in minds of our decision makers and trade negotiators all the time. These are strategic challenges, but we know that we will. Couple things. First, we have to prepare ourselves well enough to be recognized as a desirable member of the future member of CPTPP. So we're doing that, and I think it's been recognized by major economies, member economies of CPTPP, that Taiwan has been pretty much meeting the target there. Secondly, we do need support. We need, and for that, we need to engage ourselves individually with all the current member states of CPTPP. And over the past couple of years, that's exactly what we do. And certainly, of course, different individual countries would have their own calculation. We respect that, but also encouraging during this process is that we know some of the current member economies are very receptive, forthcoming to Taiwan's application. So we intend to continue that. to ensure that this kind of momentum remains strong, and perhaps down the road, some sort of collective show of support may be generated. But this is sort of, in a way, perhaps more on a tactic thing rather than a strategic thing. The bottom line is Taiwan will work hard and harder enough to ensure that we are recognized as an eligible member based on merits. That's the key. So we'll continue to do that.
Great. And I'm afraid that's all the time that we have. Again, Mr. Deputy Foreign Minister, thank you for joining us, for sharing the perspective of the government of Taiwan with us today. We're going to take less than 15 minutes break and then start with the first expert panel discussion of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.